Hi parents, this is Coach John here from Learning Out of the Box, and thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you have a good start of the new school week. Okay, today I have the privilege of having a special guest, and her name is Esther. Hello Esther.
Hi, everybody.
Hi Esther, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes, yes, and I really love your background, and I'm aware that you are in a professional studio, and you have a friend helping you, and thanks Patrick. Yes, okay. Parents, okay, so let me introduce Esther and then we'll go into the main parts. All right. Okay, so Esther is the co-founder of the Education Advocates, and today she's going to share with us surprising ways you can improve your child's primary school English composition writing. Yeah, okay. So at the same time, parents, thank you for being here. And if you are, and this is a Facebook group and page event, and I really hope that you can join us. And again, from our past experience, parents who participate more, they gain more. So we can start off with liking the post and then or say hi so that we know we are here. All right. Okay, Esther, would you be able to share with us? Because to some parents, they may or may not know you. Would you be able
Sure.
to share with us like how you started off helping kids with their primary school English? And I know that you are someone who love to read,
Okay.
especially
Um,
literature, right?
I think for me, I started off being very fortunate to have English teachers who were very nurturing and who were able to um, to help me love the subject, and that really was the start of my love for the subject too. And through my teenage years, I worked with many youths in church,
Mm-hmm.
and so that confirmed for me my love with working with young people. So if you add the two together, teaching seemed to be the natural option for me um, since I started. Yeah. I started off as an MOE teacher,
Mm-hmm.
trained in secondary English though.
Wow.
And it's only after I left MOE did I start teaching primary school English. Um, that has given me the experience to teach primary school, and my MOE experience enables me to teach secondary school also. So that's why my range starts from primary and ends at secondary. Yes.
So for your experience, like great because for myself, I'll be asking as a parent because as
Okay,
you
sure.
know, I have three girls. The two elder ones are in P5 and P3 this year,
Okay.
and so um, though we speak English at home, but you know that I mean, it's probably not the proper English. So how can we parents help our children to gain interest in English?
I think that the first thing we need to uh, communicate to children is that English is not just a subject.
Mm-hmm.
It permeates our lives, right from communicating with someone else, nothing to do with grammar, vocab, MCQ, nothing to do with composition writing. English is everywhere. Getting
Mm.
your friend to understand your instructions for a game you want to play is about English.
Mm-hmm.
It's about communicating what you want. So I think that getting our children to see and understand that English is everywhere. It's not about just the comprehension passage. That helps them to see the significance and to gain interest in it. Yeah.
Mm. And I remember that you shared with me that you have prepared some slides. Yeah, would you be able to
Yes.
give us? Yeah. Okay, parents,
Okay.
while teacher Esther is showing us the slides, if you're around, just drop us a hi. And I can see some parents like Roslyn, Kim Ho, Sherwin, Corinne. And hello, okay, teacher Esther, you have somebody, not sure if you know, Jules,
Yes.
and she's saying hi to you. Yeah, hi.
Okay. Hi, Joel.
Wow, that's a very nice name, yeah. Wow.
Very unique name. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So it's primary school English composition writing. Just going to go through some fundamentals of the English language for those of you who are not very familiar with it. Okay, so the key components of the English language, and I showed a picture of chicken rice, is because it's like the various portions on a dish. And so by P5 and P6, or at PSLE, there's the paper 1, which consists of situational writing and composition writing. The mark allocation is that composition writing is 40 marks. So naturally, parents who are anxious about this will look at the 40 marks and be very concerned that, oh, this is the component that is very heavy, and that's right, and that's why we are going to talk about it today. For paper 2, there's booklet A and booklet B. I have not included oral and listening comprehension, but yes, they are also part of the English paper and the PSLE. But just wanted to lay out the key components and show the weightage of composition writing. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Okay, in composition writing, I think that some parents don't understand, or they ask, why does my child struggle so much with composition writing? For us at the Education Advocates, composition writing is the highest level of language competency. What we mean is that the ability to write a good story pulls together so many components of language that it is a challenging task. For example, it requires critical thinking, it requires proper grammar, good vocabulary, it requires a good storyline, and everything must be relevant to the title and the picture. So if you put all of that together, it is a very high order task. This is why many children struggle with it. And in sharing this, I'm hoping that we give them the space and the time to develop their love for writing, rather than say, you must love composition writing. It is a daunting task for many children. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't show that first. Maybe I should ask, oops, pretend you didn't see it. I would like to ask what some parents have tried but has not quite worked to help their child in composition writing. Maybe you can share it and put it on the chat. And maybe John, you can share it with me.
Sure. Okay, parents, if you have tried anything, doesn't matter whether it work or not work, you can share with us. Maybe I can share like what I tried. I love to read, yeah. So I think I didn't try, but my girls actually they model after me, and they have been reading since 5 years old. As for preparing them for school exams and tests, I mean that's what all parents will do. I actually bought so many books on like synthesis, essay writing, creative writing, and actually the truth is some are just parked there for 1 year, and I give it to my friends. It's all new. Yeah, so it didn't really work.
So just a question, when you buy books on composition, what do you get your girls to do?
Okay, for the composition writing, what I did was I tried in a way that the same as how my father taught me. We read through together, and then we highlighted the beautiful phrases, and then we memorized them. But we also have some sort of like this discussion, like just to chat and get to get her out of the mindset that it's not just doing for school. Yeah, it's more like get to know her as a child or as a father for a child.
Okay. I think that what you have done is what many parents will try to do with their children. Like read and highlight phrases and memorize it. which brings me to my next slide. From my conversations with parents, I think these are some of the common ways that parents try to help their children with composition writing. The key thing is memorize, right? So you memorize vocabulary, good phrases, model compositions, and the last thing is write as many compositions as possible.
Yep.
I just want to go through some of this. Memorizing in and on its own does not help your child's composition, and I'll say why. Vocabulary needs to be used in context, and vocabulary memorized out of context does not help your child write better, right?
So when you say in context, could you give us some examples or just one example?
Okay.
Will do?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know of students who have try to memorize bombastic words and use them badly in the composition. For example, let me think of. Do you have a word that you perhaps have told
maybe
your daughter to memorize that I can use it?
Okay. My English not very good so I never say baffled.
Baffled. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say a child memorizes baffled, and memorizes that it is the meaning confused, right? The child needs to be able to use it correctly in a sentence. If the child uses it, for example, so for example, it's saying they wanted to play a trick on somebody else, but then in the sentence say we wanted to baffle him. Yes, kind of it is confused, but that playing a trick doesn't come true in that meaning. So that is using it in the wrong context. Or we say memorize a good phrase. And many students like to start with phrases about the weather. Magnolia clouds were floating across the azure sky. And as I say this, I'm sure many parents would identify that, yeah, my child writes that. Okay, so magnolia clouds floating across the azure sky. Now that's a beautiful description. And I see some students throw it into their composition. They'll be like, wow, Miss Esther, I put this really good phrase. I'm like, okay, but it doesn't add value to your story. The weather is not important in your story. So by adding magnolia clouds, it doesn't help you tell the story better. So that's what I mean by memorizing on its own doesn't help improve compositions. Yes. So the next thing I'm going to go to is model compositions. It is great to be able to read great ideas, but when we tell a child to memorize somebody else's composition, what we are telling them is that their idea is not good enough. And so that's an unintended message, right? Memorize this, you'll do well. Unfortunately, what a child sometimes understands is that, whatever I come out will never be good enough. So I just have to rely on somebody else's idea. This means that you have then a writer who has no confidence. And in order to get this student to gain confidence and be able to come up with ideas and write well, it's twice as difficult. Because he or she already internalizes, right? Oh, whatever I come up with is going to be bad. So, teacher, why don't you just give me, or can I just memorize something? So, this is something that we have to address in our lessons a lot. And this is why I always tell parents, you can read other compositions, but please don't tell your child to memorize it. When you say memorize, it means don't think, right? So if a picture or title comes up and the child has not memorized anything for that, the child has no practice thinking. The child only practice memorizing. Yes. So that is.
Okay, never mind. It's okay. Okay, okay, never mind. I think you can try to get it fixed. In the meantime, parents, if you just join us, today we have teacher Esther from the division advocate, and she's here to share with us what are some of the effective ways to help boost our children's confidence in learning and preparing for composition writing. Even for myself, I'm learning from her as well because, as you know, my forte is in math, not English. Yeah, so if you are here, do drop us a hi or like the video, and or you can share with your friends because all these are free, and this is why teacher Esther and myself are sharing all these not all these know-hows and tips is really to help our parents to be able to use more effective ways to teach their children. Yeah. So if you have any question, just put in the comments and then we'll be glad to share with you our experience. Yeah.
Thank you, John. Thank you. So the last point is write as many compositions as possible. If your child is not writing well, then writing as many compositions as possible means that your child is practicing writing badly, right? So writing as many compositions as possible is not a blanket rule. Writing as many good compositions as possible is what you want. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question because I think even for myself, I'm pretty stuck here. Yes, I really love what you shared as in getting our children to believe in themselves that they have this unique story in them and there's need for them to memorize or follow other people's essay. Yeah, but at the same time, I think for parents who are like us, we are in this fight whereby, um, in my opinion, children are growing up in a system when they may think that, or they may be taught by other people that they need to model other people's essays. Yeah. So when a child first comes to you and assuming that the past many years she or he has been taught to model other people's essays, so what will be some of your like first few steps in getting the child to start to believe in himself or herself that he can create his own beautiful stories?
We take baby steps.
Baby steps.
You know, in our classes, we encourage every student to share ideas, and we focus on the fact that it's a process of learning. And if a new student has always been memorizing, he or she would probably hold back a little bit. But, you know, in the process of brainstorming, we put ideas on the board, you know, we add in, and so the student will probably ask the student for a small bit, just a baby step. Okay, so what do you think happens next here? Right, just this one portion, and then the student just gives me that one, and we celebrate that small victory, that small step, and just take one more step, and slowly that comes together to gain confidence. Like, hey, you know, I can contribute something. It made sense. I was part of that creation process of that storyline. And that's where they start to gain confidence. Yes.
Yeah. So what I got out from your sharing is get children to be involved, and I like the parts when you use the word celebrate. Yes, because I think that sometimes in myself, we may feel that whatever our children shared is that it can be insignificant or we are using some bombastic words. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, we have a question from Mami.
Mm-hmm.
Before I address that, parents, if you are here, please ask any question that will help you because this is a free event and we want to help you to do well, not just for math, but also for other subjects. So that's why we have brought along experts like Esther to share. Okay, so hi, Christy. Christy said hi to us.
Hi.
Hi, and we have a mommy by the name of Karin. Hi, Karin. And okay, let me just post it inside the chat box and I'll also read it out.
Yes.
Huh? Okay, okay. So let me just read out as well and you can prepare some of the tips to share. Okay, Mommy Karin asked, is it necessary to send child to creative writing class if scoring between 24 to 26 upon 40? Well, this is a very specific question and probably she has faced this or currently facing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
My first instinct is to explain that there are two components to composition writing. There's language and there's content. And for me to understand better, I would ask, which part is your child lacking in? Has the school teacher given any feedback? If not, I would like to look at the composition so I can better tell you, okay, it's a language issue or it's a storyline issue, right? And from that, if it's a pure language issue, then you shouldn't be attending a creative writing class. You should be working on the fundamentals of language. If it's a content issue, then yes, a creative writing class may help your child come up with better content through the brainstorming process, through listening to their peers, which is what we call peer learning. It's a great process of learning. Yeah, and so depending on where the weakness is, your child will need different tools to help him or her. Yes.
So for a layman, like for myself, I'm not trained in creative writing, and when I look at my child's essay, I think this is also what most parents will do. Their eyes will go straight to the marks. Wow, so low. Wow, so high. Wow, where are your marks to score A star? Or now it's AR1, right? Yeah. So like for myself, I'm not trained in this. Probably for Mami Karin, can you share with us more like probably some feedback from teachers so that teacher Esther can better address your question?
I think also
Yep.
24 to 26 over 40.
Yep.
Is that okay with you, Mummy? Right? Does your child think that he or she can do better? Right, I think that's a very important question. Is your child motivated? Does your child want to do better? And that also makes your decision a bit easier. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let me share with you a good news. I think from my experience, your Facebook Live is one of the highest view. We have 21 parents now. Wow.
Okay.
Watching you
Hi,
live.
everyone.
Hi. Yeah, so I think I must book your slot for other events.
So I think there's one more parent, right? You said.
So far, okay. Just now was Mommy Christy.
Okay.
Just said hi. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What are
Okay,
some of
I
the
think.
sorry?
Sorry, you were saying.
Oh, what are some of the common questions that you hear from parents?
I think one of the most common ones is, my child reads a lot. Why can't he write?
Yeah.
How come, if you read so many books, right, the whole series of, I don't know,
Harry
Alex
Potter.
Rider, or
Harry
like,
Potter.
like Percy and the Lightning Thief, how come his writing is nothing like anything like that.
Yeah.
That brings me to my next slide, actually.
Yes.
Surprise! This is a list of things you can do at home to help your child with composition writing. That does not involve memorizing. It involves getting them to be observant, to be critical thinkers, to be creators of content. So the first thing is that everyday details matter. For example, you're at a coffee shop, with your child, seated and eating. Look around. There's a buzz of conversation. There's the smell of food nearby. Maybe somebody is, arguing at the other table. These details are what should go into your composition. The ability to describe your surroundings convincingly. Okay, or you're in a restaurant. A waiter spills something on another customer. Stop. Get your child to look at what's happening. How does the waiter respond? How does the customer respond? That is realistic human interaction. And that helps your child. Because children don't have the breadth of experience in their lives yet. So by getting them to observe what's going on around them, that's building their understanding of what is logical interaction, what is realistic interaction. Board an MRT train. If somebody doesn't want to give up their seat, and an elderly person is upset, watch. Point out to them, hey, look, what's happening here? How would you react? What do you think is the right thing to do? These things get them to think about situations like that. And these things are what helps in composition writing. Because more often than not, they don't know how to describe a situation like that. How do I describe when someone is angry, or when someone loses their temper at a total stranger? They don't know how to describe it. Or where is the emergency brake on the MRT? Right. In some stories, you want to write that something happened in the train, and you want to pull the emergency brake. Some of them don't even register that there is an emergency brake. So the everyday details, just pointing out them, hey, look, it's over here, it's by the door, it's red, there's a sign on it. That increases their awareness. In a shopping center, where's the fire exit? Is there a fire extinguisher? Right, things like these that they observe help them to write better compositions. That's what it is. So the everyday details matter. That's one. Or if they fall, and how do you wash the wound? What's the first thing you do? Wash it with water, apply antiseptic cream. Do you call an ambulance if it's just a cut? No. But you see, your child doesn't know that. So in many compositions, a pitfall is that they add in an unrealistic detail. Like, oh, I fell into the drain, I have a big cut on my elbow, and we called the ambulance. No, you don't call the ambulance in that situation. Right? So realistic details, the everyday things. That's one big one. Number two, have deep conversations with your child. Besides composition writing, it also builds your relationship. So deep conversations about something that you read, perhaps. Recently, there was an article in the Straits Times about a foreign worker who saved a boy trapped on a parapet of a block. I'm sure everyone has seen that in the news. Talk about that incident. Why is it news? Right? If they were to see someone stuck on the parapet, what would they do? Why is the foreign worker being praised in that situation? Have the conversations. Ask them for their opinions. Get them to think about what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
That is better than just saying, read the newspaper. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Third thing, spoken grammar lah. Because spoken grammar is important.
Mm-hmm.
How they speak is eventually how they write, if you look at it carefully. Okay. And so we try to encourage our students to speak good English, speak grammatical English at all times. Of course, there will be a slip here and there, but it's the effort in being aware about spoken grammar. And this is not only for composition writing, it will help in your oral. Right? Because what you practice is what will happen when you are nervous or you're sitting in front of the examiner. So if you're practicing Singlish all the time, you will likely speak Singlish under pressure. But if you practice speaking good English, then you will speak good English under pressure. So it's just practice. Yes. Fourth, active reading. That comes to the part about reading books. Just reading per se will not create a good writer, but thinking about what they read makes them good writers. For example, oh, you like this book. Which is your favorite character? Why? Which part of the story do you like best? Why? Is there a phrase or a description that impacted you more? Shall we write it down? Right. So it's not about memorizing. It's about responding to what they're reading, responding to language. And that helps them become better writers. Yeah, so those are 4 surprising things that will help your child in composition writing. Yes.
So what I got out from your sharing is that while we may think that there are some proven ways, but most of these ways are actually work better if the parents are more involved and engaging the kids and also stimulating their thinking by discussing with them. And I think the reason why I really like this point that you shared is because from my observation, as I'm working or I brought my children to the restaurant, what I see at some tables, some parents do engage their children. Yeah. But on the other extreme, there are some parents with children, while 4 of them may be at the table, actually each of them is was in their own world, either on a mobile phones or doing something else. And from the start to the end, there's no conversation at all.
Yeah.
So how do you encourage more parents to be even put away their mobile phones over mealtime and start to talk to the children?
I think it's about seeing value in doing it. It's not an aimless conversation. I understand that it can, after a long and tiring day, it seems like a chore. But really, these conversations can be about a family outing you're planning, the zoo that you visited. So it really is casual conversation. It's not like, oh, how can I ask him a question that has to help him with composition? No. Just everyday things. Look at the bus over there. So many people are waiting at the bus stop. Okay, that can be a point for conversation. Oh, it's so crowded, but safety distancing is going on. Do you think it's important that everybody wears their masks? Why should we do it? Why do somebody refuse to wear their mask? Anything. Just look around. just be present there and then. Yes.
Thanks so much for sharing. At the same time, also want to share, also ask the parents. For parents who are watching this, what are some of your ways which you use to engage your children over a mealtime, or simply just moving from one point to another point? Yeah, because we really would love to hear from you, and we know that many LB parents do engage their children and they're very hands-on. And
Mm.
um, adding on, the reason why you do this is also to support parents who teach their children math and other subjects at home. Right. Okay. Adding on to Mami Corinne
Mm.
Chiang, she was sharing the part on whether should she send her child for creative writing
Mm.
class. So she added this point, which was both language and content ideas. She doesn't read much. Yeah, so what are some of the right possible the first one or two things that she can start doing right now?
I think immediately to start with the first 2 points that I was talking about just now, the everyday details and having deep conversations. There is no way to force your child to suddenly enjoy reading. That is
Mhm.
a process also. Um, I'll share a bit more about that process in a bit. But immediately, it's about the everyday details around and having that conversation. Maybe start with asking your son, mm, when you're out, like I said, at a coffee shop, at a shopping mall, you know, why do you think um, this child is crying? You know,
Mhm.
do you think we should ask him what's wrong? Like just conversations about things that you observe in your surroundings. Yeah, nothing to do with reading, which he might not enjoy. Yeah. So those are the first 2 things to try. Um, Going on to reading and how we nurture a love for reading. Um,
Mm.
what I do personally, and thankfully
Mhm.
I enjoy reading children's literature, is to
Yeah.
share what I enjoyed about that story that I just read. Talk about the character, talk about the exciting parts of the story, and write it into my materials also. So we do feature some children literature in our materials, and that helps them to get curious about the book, about the story. Right? I have
Mhm.
students who say, "Oh, Miss Esther, I know you're doing this on purpose. You select this part, you don't tell us what happens next." I said, "Of course. The book is in our library. Go borrow it." And they actually do. Right? Just
Mm.
one book, and then the next one be like, "Oh, I quite enjoyed that," and we can um, recommend a similar type of story, and then maybe they find a genre of storybook that they enjoy, and that's
Follow.
how
Yes.
we we get them to start to love reading. Yes.
Mm. Yes, at the same time, we have your friend Jewel, and she's
Mm-hmm.
saying she loved what you have shared on everyday details,
Mm.
matter importance of observation that leads to awareness, and the
Mm.
beauty of language can be found anywhere, anytime. Yeah.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yes.
I think Mummy Queen also said that both language and content are weak, is it? Or is it both language and content need work?
Oh, she's sharing the parts that you ask her like
I
in
see, I see. Okay,
language thing or content. So she's sharing, I mean she's replying back to you like it's actually
I
both.
see.
Doesn't read
Okay.
much. Yeah.
So I
Okay.
think that immediately the language part, maybe work on grammar and vocabulary, writing grammatical sentences, being able to express himself. Simple exercise that I do with my students. The word sit instead of using the word said, what can we use? Right? We can say whispered, hollered, that would be shouted, right? Insisted, replied, asked. Just these simple ways of improving vocabulary instead of using the word said. So if they come up with a list of words, you can even open a storybook and look at the different ways to express said. Write that down. Very simple way of upgrading vocabulary. The other possible word is walk. Are there many different ways of saying walk and run? Dashed, hobbled, staggered, scuttled, stomped. Like just right there, you have 5 different words. Rather than use the same word walk, ran, right? So that is simple way of improving vocabulary in conversation writing. For content, deep conversations, if that doesn't work, send him to the education advocates. Yes.
I like the parts that you shared about just opening up a storybook and then looking at the words that are similar to said. Yeah, and
Yes.
it reminded me of like same for math. It's not about the books that your children are using. You can just go back to any question in your worksheet or any sources, and then just look at one question and then discuss what are some of the possible ways that you can solve it. Yeah. So I think what we're focusing right here is the learning style or the learning technique applied for any subject.
Yes. I think that this makes learning come alive rather than a more memorize, just do the whole thing, don't talk about it, just yes, right or wrong. And then, that usually does not really help. They need to understand, they need to think critically about what they're doing, and that really helps. Yeah. In fact, these 4 tips that I've shared would help all the way to secondary school and JC. You must understand that one more reason why memorizing is not the way to go is because it will only help you until PSLE. It does not help you beyond that. The moment you hit secondary school, all of that gets thrown out the window, which means your child starts with 0. Right? The child has not practiced critical thinking, creating content, and in secondary school and JC, and even poly, they're expected to be critically analyze information, to discuss it, to break it down, to look at details. So if your child practices that from primary school, it's a skill that brings him or her all the way. Yeah. Not just the PSLE.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that because the reason why we set up this Facebook group is to empower parents to look beyond grades. And one thing that I think that is not very effective, but it works for many parents, is to copy the answers of the social media groups or WhatsApp groups, and then just submitting the homework. Because in this way, I think that the teacher will not know whether the child knows how to do it or not. Yeah. So they are also on this journey of empowering parents and equipping them with skills like what you're saying for long-term success rather than just looking at PSLE as the final destination.
Yes. And I think that it's important to put things in perspective. We are equipping them for the rest of their lives. Memorizing is just equipping them for a very small part. But critical thinking and deep conversations, learning to love the language, the subject, is a lifelong skill.
Okay, we have time for one last question from Mami
Sure.
Christy, and
Sure.
I pasted in the Zoom chat. So while we are reading it, let me just share with parents. Okay, Mami Christy is saying that her girl's writing is okay. The problem is sometimes the storyline she creates does not flow well or connects well. And she also finds writing a chore. Mommy, I can feel you, yeah, because this is what I feel when I get my children to write essay as well. So, like in Chinese, we call very 痛苦. What is a good word to translate 痛苦?
It's a torturous process.
Yes. You see, I can't teach English. Yeah. So how do you motivate
I
her?
can't teach math, so it's okay.
So how do you motivate her? Yeah.
Motivate her to enjoy the process.
I think, yeah, because I think mommy ended off the sharing as she finds it a chore. Yeah. So how can you motivate a child who finds writing a chore?
I think that peer support is important in enjoying the process. So I'm not sure if that is relevant to mommy per se to motivate her at home. There are a few things here. Number one is confidence and enjoyment. Number two is peer learning. We find that as a child discovers his or her strength in writing, he or she will enjoy it more. So it's kind of celebrating small victories along the way rather than look at the whole composition and be like, why you didn't score well? Pick one part of a composition. Okay, we're just going to work on the introduction. Let's improve the introduction and celebrate that. And then it's not such a daunting task. It becomes more enjoyable. But if you just look at the whole composition and say, write better, the child's going to be, how do I do that? Right? So it's breaking it down to bite pieces that they feel they can handle, gain confidence, and then start to enjoy. And this links to the second thing I want to talk about, which is that peer support. We find that composition writing is best taught in a small group because that generation of ideas is very, very important. It cannot take the place of a teacher telling a child, this is what to write. It's like knife sharpen knife. They sharpen each other. They learn to, so their thinking is at a certain level. And so when they share ideas, it makes sense to one another, right? And they start to learn to see, hey, his idea is interesting. How can I add to it, right? Or her idea, I think maybe not so good. But why do I think it's not so good? And then we discuss it in class also. So that process is very important in helping a child enjoy it. Because as the child realizes that, hey, I can add value, that's like celebrating success. And they enjoy it. So it's really small steps and getting them to gain confidence. That's how you help the child enjoy the process. Yeah.
Let me just
I hope that helps.
Points. Yes, it really helps. Let me just add on a few points based on my experience. Again, parents I'm not an expert here. Teacher Esther is an expert. Yeah, so I'm just trying to share more and then see what else I can learn from her. I think what I like about what you just shared is different modes. In this case, Karen Christie is saying that the writing experience is a chore to the child, but learning takes place in many forms. And what teacher Esther has shared is like peer sharing, discussion, facilitation by the teacher. And on top of that, it reminded me that my middle child likes to draw. So she drew her story out before she wrote her essay, and just a 3 to 4 minus. It doesn't matter because it's really just to get her to be interested.
Yes. I think that we celebrate learning in whatever form it comes. And yes, we have a desired outcome. We want the child to write well. How we get the child to write well, there are many, many ways. And what I've just shared are just some general ways that we try or we work with. We also take into consideration a child's interest. So like you shared about your middle child, right?
Yep.
I do get some students to do a comic style, right? Not in so much detail, just stick man, right? But it helps them to visualize the story. And then we work on, well, they have 4 or 5 pictures, and then we work on putting that down on paper, then improving the descriptions, and then improving the language. So it's a step by step. Yeah.
And it sounds like storyboarding, and this is what I saw like from documentary show when they start to create, let's say, a Disney movie.
Yes.
Everything start off from pictures, and then they have pieces of different scenes, pieces on the wall, and they do continue to tweak and paste around and tear apart the whole thing if they see that it doesn't fit. Then once they confirm the storyboard, then they work on the animation.
Yes, I think there is so much joy in seeing a child create their own story and being proud of it. When I see a child blossom as a writer, it's indescribable. Seeing that joy, and that process might have started with tears, and then slowly, they learn to like, hey, it's not so bad. Oh, I can create something. And then, oh, I can create something really good. And then they're hooked. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, we have the last 5 minutes, and I have learned so much from your sharing in the past 50 minutes. And okay, on top of that, Christy said thank you for your pointers. Yeah. So
thank you, Christy.
So you shared so much about the pitfalls as well as the baby steps, as well as the different ways to learn and what parents can apply at home. So what would be your one key takeaway for the parents? I mean, being a parent myself, we're so busy. Every day is busy like a bee. Yeah. So what would be one thing that we can instantly use?
Talk to your child. Engage. Just a small bit every day, that will make a difference. Yes, to composition writing. And improve your relationship. Engage with your child. The conversations really do make a difference, because that's how they make sense of their world. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Anything else?
Enjoy the process with your child.
Wonderful. Yes. Let me just add on my 2 cents. Yeah, because I really enjoyed your sharing, and it's a strange feeling because I have interviewed so many educators, and in fact, often when we ask this question, what will be one key takeaway on doing well for the subjects? Yeah, and almost everyone shared that. Okay, I think most parents like us will be expecting to hear the magic pill. What book to buy lah, which teacher to find lah, what is the cure lah, study what page lah. But
yes.
The truth is almost every like-minded educator like you and me always talk about relationship.
Yes.
Between the parent and the child, and as much as some parents may not agree with it, but if you look at our own life, how well we thrive in society goes back to relationship with our co-workers, relationship with our parents, relationship with our children. Yeah. So wow, I mean, I really like what you shared.
Thank you, John.
Yes. Okay. If parents want to get in touch with you for whatever reason, where can they find you?
Oh, okay. They can go to our website, www.untitled www.educationadvocates.sg. Yes.
Okay, let me just share with them. Okay, parents, just a disclaimer here, I don't get anything out of this. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to pay forward. Yeah, I want to empower my parents by bringing in like-minded educators. I mean, you have seen from my previous interviews. Um, we want to help you to find educators who empower the child to look beyond grades. Yeah, so here Esther is definitely one of them.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. So wait lah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this. Okay. Let me just make sure that I'm sharing the right thing.
Okay.
Okay. Here you go. Yeah. This is the
Yes,
website, right?
that's our website. Yes. There is a contact us. There's a WhatsApp us on the top right
WhatsApp
hand
us.
corner.
Where?
Yes.
Is it here?
The black.
Oh, this one.
Right at the top. Yeah.
Oh.
That's also possible. Yes. WhatsApp us. Message us. There's also a contact us page where you can leave your details and we'll get back to you. Yeah.
Sure. And this WhatsApp goes to you or goes to the office mobile? I mean, just
It goes to the
it.
office mobile, but the team will definitely answer it. Yes.
Okay, okay, great. Yeah, I have been to your place and I look forward to seeing your new place, which is at the same location, but I think there's some
Yes.
modification done to
Yes,
create
we did
on it.
renovations. Please do
Mhm.
come visit us.
Sure. Okay, okay, yeah, all right. Okay, so now we have come to the end of the sharing. I always ask this question. Yeah, probably you have heard from my past interviews that you have watched. Okay, so here goes. Okay. So as we know, in Singapore society, all of us receive primary school education, and PSLE is a big thing, not just for children, also for parents. Yeah.
Yes.
So children get stressed. Yeah. So if I may invite you to walk down the memory lane, I know you're very young, so you go down to your younger self. Okay, your younger self.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
as you go down the memory lane to your younger self, you met the 12-year-old Esther. Yeah. Why 12-year-old? Because
Okay.
it's a big thing to us then. Yeah. And she's so close to you that you can
Sorry, wait,
you
John.
can almost,
I can't hear you. Just give me a moment.
yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm just reconnecting
Sure. Yeah.
to the mic to be able to hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, the 12-year-old you, yeah. The young to the younger. This is the key point. Okay, so so when you walk down the memory lane and you bump into the 12-year-old Esther and she's looking at you into the eyes and you can almost feel her. Yeah. What will you tell the younger Esther about PSLE?
It is simply a small bump in the road. Learn from this experience and just embrace the process. Yeah, the process. I think the process was not something that I was aware of. But now looking back, I would have liked to enjoy the process a lot more than just waiting for the grades. Yeah.
Anything else? Yeah, sounds like an English oral test. Anything else?
Almost. I share this story with my students before their PSLE. And I always say, somehow I did well in my PSLE. My sister didn't do so well, and she was devastated. I mean, it still happens today. But she picked herself up very fast, And by O levels, she did well, and I didn't do so well. A levels, both of us evened out. Both of us went to NUS, if that's where you want to go, of course. NUS, and both of us ended up as teachers.
Oh, wow, really? Wow.
Yeah, really. My sister is a math and science teacher, but she's based in Chiang Mai, in the international school in Chiang Mai.
Wow.
And I teach English and humanities. Well, I used to teach humanities, but I teach English here. So the moral of the story is that, you know, life is never a straight path. And there are going to be twists and turns. Enjoy wherever you are in the now. You know, be present where you are. Enjoy that process, because it takes you to places that you might not have imagined. At the start, both of us just at PSLE, if you look at my sister and I, people say, oh, you know, well, Esther's going to do very well in 4 years. We kind of turn the tables. You know, so yes, the PSLE is important, but it's not the end of the road. Actually, even the O levels, A levels, and university is not the end, right? It's a continual learning process. Life takes us on an adventure. Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing. And you reminded me of a phrase that I read somewhere. We are at the right place at the right time. We are at the right place at the right time. Yeah.
And I think the right place at the right time is just being present in this moment. Yeah.
Got it. That's why it's called a present.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, parents, we still have 7 parents who are still staying on in the Facebook Live, and thanks so much for watching this. I know that weekday nights is something like a very precious block of time for the family. Yeah, and yet just with us. Yeah, so Esther,
thank you so much for staying on with us.
Here, and we have learned so much from you. And if you want to find Esther, you can go to the Education Advocates, right? Or Educator, sorry.
Yes. Education Advocates.
Okay, Education Advocates. .sg. Yep.
Yes.
Advocates with an S, right?
Yes, Advocates with an S.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, so Esther will go off first. Let me just stop the sharing. And parents, we'll see you around again when I bring more experts up to empower your life to look beyond the PSLE score, because there's so much things ahead. Yeah, it's more people than PSLE.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Bye, parents. Good night.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.